Well, a bit of an upset in the Bavarian Derby. Augsburg won, Bayern Munich nil. Second game in a row at home that Augsburg have beaten Bayern Munich. Janusz, before we get to any of the game that took place, I want to talk about what happened right at the end. A man of the match display from a friend of yours, the goalkeeper for Augsburg. And he denied the other goalkeeper, Manuel Neuer, who'd been sent up to try and get the equaliser. What a performance from someone you know rather well.
Yes. Rafał Gikiewicz stops Bayern Munich. I'm going to try not to be too biased here because I have tons of respect for Bayern Munich. We'll get to them in a second. But, I think, it wasn't just Manuel Neuer, right? I mean, he had 4 or 5 incredible stops in the first half, 3 or 4 maybe. If you remember Sadio Mane one-on-one, that was an unbelievable save on Leroy Sané. Another one forced Jamal Musiala to go wide without touching the ball, which looked to me like it was going to be a goal. So I'm just looking here. It's just too many saves because Leroy Sané had another one in the second half. Just tremendous performance from Rafał Gikiewicz. Let's not forget, of course, that last time out against Werder Bremen away from home, he stopped Marvin Dukš's penalty in the 95th, 96th minute as well to give Augsburg very valuable 3 away points, which was important because you've mentioned Augsburg has done that to Bayern Munich last season, but they've lost their first 3 home games. And, you're thinking to yourself, well, Bayern Munich coming off of that big win against Barcelona, this could be 4, but it wasn't. So it wasn't just Gikiewicz. I think Enrico Maassen has put in a very, very brave game plan. We saw that in the first 45 minutes, and risky plan, but one that saw Augsburg press Bayern Munich, counter press, play tremendously entertaining game here. So it wasn't just Rafał Gikiewicz, but fair play to you for that, my friend.
No, you need to have your goalkeeper in top form and your players playing well when you're playing against Bayern, and that's exactly what happened. Now, we'll get to the goal in just a second, but that's 4 in a row without a win for Bayern in the Bundesliga. That's not happened since the end of 2001, start of 2002. That's 20 years ago plus. So what's the problem? Is it easy to say no Lewandowski, no goals? Because the goals can come from everywhere else. Would they have lost that game if Lewandowski was playing?
Well, let me put it that way again. Robert Lewandowski obviously showed he's capable. Bayern saw that. They got a little bit lucky in the Champions League. Not just Robert, 2 or 3 very good chances, and Pedri as well. But they are used to certain level or certain plan that involves that reference point that is number 9, right? They don't have that. They're getting used to it, and I think you look at Bayern and you can say that they are somewhat disorganized, right? You can't possibly tell me watching Thomas Muller that he doesn't miss Robert Lewandowski or someone like him. And I don't want to go over the list of great number 9s that Bayern have had. They haven't had to play like this in a long time. They're changing that, and they looked uncomfortable, Bayern Munich, right? They're not as formidable, if you will, maybe not as dominant to a certain degree because there's so much movement, and sometimes it just simply, Mark, doesn't work. It's not that easy to implement that, and it just goes to show. Remember how long ago it seemed that they've beaten Eintracht Frankfurt 6-1, Bochum 7-0. We said, well, Bundesliga is done. It's a lesson to everyone. And by the way, even though they've now 4 straight without a win, you still think that they're favorites, don't you?
Oh no, of course. I mean, we're desperate as a neutral for a title race that kind of goes a bit later than March or April in the Bundesliga, and we'll certainly get that. But you're right. I mean, Bayern have still got the best players, and there's no doubt about it that they are favourites. Now, Michallik Berisha with the goal. It's a well-worked goal. I just wonder if the assist was meant, because the finish was excellent. What do you think?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it was a free kick, right? I mean, from far, obviously, the ball travel well. You have to look at Leroy Sané. I think at fault, he was turned the wrong way. I think it was Iago there behind him. He lost sight of the ball, lost sight of Iago. And I think when that ball fell in, it looked like a pass. It just kind of a little bit of fortune, I think, for Augsburg. But of course, Michallik Berisha finished that well, had to finish that the way it fell for him from that distance. as well. But as I've said, I think there are other chances for Augsburg. Let's not take that away from that team, because as I've mentioned, I think the plan was very good. Florian Niederlechner, say that 3 times fast, had a couple of very, very good chances stopped by Manuel Neuer early in the first half. Maybe didn't strike the ball properly, and then it was a stinger from distance, half a chance perhaps. But there were chances here and there for Augsburg, and they caused Bayern Munich all kinds of problems in terms of Bayern building their rhythm, building their play. Bayern very poor in wide areas today. Alphonso Davies non-existent. Mazraoui decent early on. He got substituted, didn't he, later for Joshua Kimmich to go and play right back.
So a defeat for Bayern. But this is a movie that we have seen many times before, Janusz, because we've covered the Bundesliga for years and years. And on several of those occasions, Bayern are off to a slow start. Not quite slow this year. They're up there, but that's 4 without a defeat, 4 without a win for Bayern. But you kind of know what comes next over the next few months, don't you, from Bayern? They'll pick up.
Yeah, they just have to organize themselves, certainly in the front. I think that free movement from all the players, it hasn't happened just yet. As we've seen, Sadio Mane is struggling a little bit by his standards, I suppose. I think it's 5 games without scoring. Although, let's understand that Sadio Mane is not your prolific goal scorer, isn't he? I think, if you look at Thomas Muller, as I've said, it's not that he's playing badly, but it's just not as effective, I think. And Leroy Sané flashes. We see it from game to game, but lack of consistency from Leroy Sané is there for all of us to see just yet. So it's not an easy to create an attacking scheme like that. And as I've mentioned, something that Bayern Munich for decades now did not have to do.
Freiburg, Mainz, Hertha. They've all gone to Augsburg this season and won. Bayern didn't. First home win of the season for Augsburg. They beat the defending champions, Bayern Munich, by 1-0.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.